Um,
Hello.
Katie and Faustina here,
Are
and
we gonna be able to see the chat?
oh, I have to do
I think we have to
is
turn
that button? Yeah, no, live chat. There we go.
Live
Okay.
chat.
We're like so amateurs. We are joined this morning by Brienne Moody, who is a knitwear designer. She designed the reunion cardigan, which I am wearing this morning.
Lovely.
And we did a knit along for this cardigan, I think a
while
year and
ago.
a half ago.
Yeah, a while ago.
And Brienne discovered it online and reached out to us. And so we've been chatting back and forth. We're so excited to have you join us this morning.
Thanks for having
And
me. I'm so excited too.
Yeah.
people really enjoyed the knit along.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
people participated.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few reunion cardigans come into the store. It's a really great pattern. It was a good skill building pattern for the people that we for our clients. And
And we did it as a good first cardigan.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
For people who are wanting to like expand their skill set.
Yeah. And you were saying, Brienne, that this was one of the first patterns that you actually drafted.
Yes, I think it was my second ever pattern. I did a hat first,
Wow.
and then that was my second. Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and when I discovered the knit along, I was getting ready to teach a class in person. I've taught it twice now at our folk school locally here about how to make that pattern. And I was just, my husband actually Googles my name a lot to see what people are saying. I never do that. That's my nightmare. But
Yeah.
I Googled the reunion cardigan to see if anyone had any questions. And that was like actually your knit along helped me structure my class because as a designer, I think I knit pretty intuitively and actually writing everything down and telling people how to do it. Once you've been knitting a while, even like I don't consider myself a super expert knitter, but even so, the things that you sort of jump right over, it's great to see how other people are breaking it down. You guys did such a nice job leading people through, and you're so funny, of course, and friendly. I really enjoyed watching it. It was fun.
That's fantastic.
And the knit along is still available on YouTube if anybody's wanting to see that.
Yeah, we can. We'll link it at the end of this Fab Chat so that you can easily find the playlist. But we're really glad that it was useful for you. So the Caitlin and Emily are the two people that led the knit along. Caitlin is our photographer and Emily is one of our knitting teachers. And they've known each other for like
10 years.
Yeah, before they started working at the store together. So they've got a really great rapport and they are really funny together.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
I know that they're looking at I sent them, I'm like, you need to pick another Brienne Moody pattern.
One.
No, we picked one already.
Oh,
we picked one.
I think we should do this one, the hot dish cowl.
Yes.
I think I might make this for some like Christmas presents because that looks really fun and quick. So
yes.
Is it a secret which one we're doing?
I don't think it's 100% set in stone. Okay. It's a sweater, and I don't remember what it's called. It's a colorwork sweater. With like reds and blues in the yoke. Because we've done so all of our knit alongs are like about skill building. So it's like, we did a basic sweater and then we did a sweater with some lace work. We've done a color work piece. And so doing a color work sweater, I think, is like the next level of skill building that we're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
So if you're up to it, we'll have you back in February when we do that knit along.
Yeah, I would love to. And I think it's so fun now with all the like variegated yarns. You can make a color work sweater look way more complicated than it actually is with the yarns that do it themselves,
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and you can use like one or two skeins of that special yarn and then use a solid that's a little bit more economical for the body of it.
Yeah.
I think
we've got someone commenting. I don't know what it's supposed to be. It looks like a monster screaming to me, but my eyes are really bad.
No, and then somebody's commenting about some sort of sports team. Oh, a football team. This is spam. We're being spammed.
Excellent.
Yay, internet.
So the problem when you start to get a little bit bigger, you get a lot of spam.
So when did you start designing patterns?
Okay,
How long
let's
have you
see.
been at it?
Well, I started designing in, I think it was 2018 is when I released my first pattern.
Okay.
And really just out of necessity, like I would be have a pile of yarn in my bag, and we would be off somewhere camping where I didn't have access to the internet, and I'm like, oh, I have my needles, my yarn. I want to make
Yeah.
something, but I don't have a
Yeah.
pattern. So just started experimenting that way, and then I love to knit, and so I would be knitting people's patterns, but inevitably changing them, changing the gauge, changing the
Right.
yarn, changing the design elements to the point where it was becoming unrecognizable. And I'm like, I should just see if I,
Yeah.
what's the worst thing that could happen? I'm going to give it a try. And yeah, and I mean, I live in a pretty remote area of the country. And so even when I was little, just making my clothes was kind of part of what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly to emulate ready to wear patterns that we either couldn't afford or couldn't access. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
most designers are trying to solve a problem. That's sort of what starts their journey.
Yeah.
Um, so that's where I was coming from too, solving that problem of wanting to have fancy sweaters to wear. When my kids were little, I did a lot more sewing, and I wanted, there's such cute like couture kids clothes out there, like Misha and Puff and all those beautiful, but they're really expensive. We don't have any money,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like cut up, clothes from the thrift shop to make them really cute stuff, or certainly knitting their stuff was so small, so it was much cheaper to make.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. How did you learn to knit?
I taught myself in my 20s. Yeah, alongside my mom, actually, we learned at the same time, just from a book. I wish I still had it, and I can't find it anymore. It has some really interesting construction techniques. But
Cool.
also nitty.com. Do you guys remember that website? I think they're still producing stuff.
Vaguely.
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of too bad. I feel mixed about it because they don't charge for any of their patterns. But anyway, that was some of the first patterns I did. I learned from
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you come from a crafty family?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Again, I think just like living remotely, we always had to make our own stuff. That was just the
Yeah.
way. Like my grandpa could sew leather, and he made his own bullets for better or for worse. I mean, he knew how to do
Cool.
everything. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you mentioned sewing. Are other crafts that you do?
Yeah, so that in terms of like handmade business, I used to first sell bags on Etsy for knitters. So I was
Yeah.
a
Okay.
crazy knitter, loved to knit. And I have like a little sample. I don't have any anymore, but I would get this Pendleton wool and make wax canvas and leather
Ooh.
bags.
Nice.
And it was great because I already had this sort of authentic relationship with knitters. Like Andrea Mowry bought one of my
Yeah.
big totes,
Yeah.
So that was a fun way. I used to do that when my kids were really, really little. I would get up at like 4:30 and sew, and then they would wake up. I'd get them going on their day. Then we would like, if it was too snowy, we'd take a sled to the post office and mail out all my totes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But over time, it was hard to like. I was actually more busy than I could handle. People wanted way more than
Yeah.
I could produce, and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think making the same thing over and over again just got a little boring to me.
Yep. I've been
Although,
there.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
We've both
We've
been there.
both been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I wish I could still do it. It was fun. Yeah. So I guess having like the passive income business where you design a pattern, you really tighten it
Yes.
up, you get it tech edited,
Yes.
and then say la vie, and it's out there for
Yeah.
people.
And then
Yeah.
And
you can move on and focus on the next
yeah.
interesting, exciting thing to
Creative.
create.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
In my ideal world, I would do like a release of bags around the holidays, and then, just pattern throughout the year. But I also, my husband runs his own business. We have a family business. And
Yeah.
then I teach group exercise classes at my YMCA too. So I have
Fantastic.
a lot of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say you've got your fingers in lots of different pies.
Yeah. None of them are super high paying, but it works. It works. We cobble it all together.
Really common story for creative people though, that you need different things and you need to change it up all the time, and that it's, you're sort of driven by like what's interesting you in the moment, and I think that's a really, really common story. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You said you're in a remote sort of snowy part of the country. Are you in from your pictures, you look like you're a really outdoorsy person too. Do you
Yeah.
like ski and
You do
Yep.
outdoor activities?
What's that? Oh, outdoor activities. Yes. I see
Yeah.
someone in the chat is saying, can I have a shout out? I am a goober. Hi
I
to
don't
I am
yeah,
a
I don't
goober.
know what
If
that
that's
No.
real.
I don't know if that's real.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
someone asked, where
Where
am
are
I
you
from?
from?
Yeah.
Good question. So I'm from the States and I live in Minnesota in the Arrowhead region. So right close to Thunder Bay, like
Okay.
an
Yeah.
hour and a half south of Thunder Bay, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
And so yeah,
Yeah.
we do all kinds of, there's no movie theater here or shopping mall or anything
Mm,
like that. So we ski, I do a ton of trail running, that's my passion.
yeah.
Um yeah, all the things, all the outdoor stuff, whatever we can get. A lot of it due to climate change, it's much warmer here later in the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
today it's going to be 60s Fahrenheit, I think, which is like very, very, very warm for us this time of year. We
It's gonna be
often would,
warm. It's gonna be warm here today as well. Yesterday
Yeah.
was even
Yesterday was
warmer.
warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like 20 Celsius, which is,
Yeah.
I don't know,
80s.
80s.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's yeah. We also live in we're in Ottawa, Ontario, which is a little bit north and east of you. And yeah, we're seeing the same thing, like changes in weather. But yeah, Ottawa's a very outdoors sort of activity. Like in the wintertime, there's a lot of outdoor sports and activities and stuff. So
yeah,
a lot of our customers
snowshoeing,
snowshoeing,
skiing.
all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the days when the canal opens, people go skating.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
yeah.
So what's your favorite pattern that you've designed?
Ooh, my favorite pattern that I've designed. Wow. Well, right now, let me see if I can grab it. Uh, I just designed a pattern for a verb for keeping warm there in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
Um,
that the one that, yes, and the cover image is the yellow yarn?
Gorgeous.
It's
Yes.
gorgeous.
This is called the Orna sweater, ORNA. It's a woman's name. And it
Is
looks
that
a
like
lot.
cables? Is that like cables and little eyelets?
Yep, it is. Yep.
Amazing.
And it looks a lot more difficult than it is. Once you kind of master this, you
Yeah.
know, it carries all the way through.
Beautiful.
And the cast on for the underarm, it's top down circular construction like you would with a colorwork sweater like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just add, it's just stockinette under the arms, so the pattern just gets briefly interrupted. I have been wearing this like crazy. I love it so
Yeah.
much.
It's
And I
beautiful.
really want to make another one. This is bread and butter yarn. This is their like sister company, and it's supposed to be a more affordable option. I truly have been wearing this every day since August, and you're just starting to see like a teeny bit of pilling, but not much. It's been so
What weight is it
nice.
knit in? What weight is it?
Worsted.
Worsted.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that would be a
Nice.
really fun one to cozy up with over winter and work
Yeah.
on. And truly, once my testers were like, once you get the pattern, you know what to do. It's the same cables repeated over and over again. And when you
Yeah.
screw up, you can tell right away if it's twisted the
Yeah.
wrong way. So it's
Yeah.
pretty fun. I love that. But I would
Gorgeous.
Awesome.
say, like, definitely for knitters, this is my most popular pattern. This is the fog line shawl.
Oh, very
Nice.
pretty.
It's a monster. And there's several different iterations of this. That hot dish cowl that you had earlier is
Yeah.
a lighter weight cowl version.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to make a cardigan. I'm in the design process right now for
Yeah,
something new.
that pattern would make a really nice cardigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Yeah.
so those, I guess, yeah, the Orna is my favorite right now. But the fog line is my most popular. I also really love this. This is called the Never Summer pattern, and I used let's see, Knitting for Olive. Do you guys carry that one or
Yes.
Yeah.
no?
We
Okay.
We don't
don't.
carry them.
No, but
Okay.
I know them.
Yeah.
So this is worsted weight. It goes pretty quickly. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
What's your favorite type of garment to design?
Well, this is going to be a little controversial. My favorite thing to knit, honest and truly, is a swatch. This is kind of my whole, I want to transform the world of knitters. I know it's controversial, but, and I saw this in the reunion cardigan, Knitalong. It was hilarious. They were like, well, just to let you know, we didn't knit a swatch, you know, and they hold up this tiny cardigan.
Yes.
And I actually just saw someone from
Yeah,
Spin Cycle.
we put that on our child size mannequin.
Yes. I
We
got it
Yes.
here.
They knit the smallest size to like do the test knit, and then we ended up putting it on our like 3-year-old size mannequin.
It's
Yes.
like it's so tiny.
So this is the smallest size
Yes.
from your pattern. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes. So I thought that was really cute. And I actually just saw, you guys know Spin Cycle, those
Yep.
Yep.
ladies. So they, oh, my dog is barking. Darn it. Come here, Pearl.
Oh,
They just, one of their employees knitted all of Andrea Mowry's stone crop, and I'm pretty sure it's fingering weight, and didn't
Yep.
knit a
Yes.
swatch. And I mean, she's knit 1 million sweaters, this woman that works for Spin Cycle. And of course, it was like, so she's like, oops, couldn't get it on, way too small. Anyway,
Yep.
so my favorite thing to knit truly is a swatch, because you just get this, not only because you want to make things that are the right size, but you
Yeah.
also just get to experiment with so many different yarn types. You might discover something really surprising from your stash, like you need a
Yeah.
worsted
Yeah.
weight but you don't have worsted weight, so you combine 2 or 3 different yarns and you come up with something like truly unique. I love the freedom of that process. Or once you
Yeah.
knit a swatch, you can say, ooh, I really don't like this fabric, it's really stiff at this gauge, I
Yeah.
don't want a whole sweater in that. So I think it can be really liberating that way. I'm going to let my dog out. Can you guys excuse me
Sure.
for a few
Yeah, no
seconds? I'm so
Absolutely.
worries.
sorry.
Absolutely. Don't worry about
I
it.
was gonna say it's not the
Life
internet
happens.
age if
If
a
there isn't,
pet or a child is not
if there isn't like a
interrupting.
cat walking
Yeah,
across the screen.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
so yeah,
We
my
were just
favorite.
saying it's normal for pets to interrupt at this point in time, so
Yes.
no worries.
That's
This
life.
is a transition time around my house, so I was like, "Get out!" All the kids got out. My husband got
Yes.
out, and he took 2 of the 3 dogs, but there was one stubborn. She wants me to feed her, so she was in here barking. Anyway, she's gone. She's gone now. She's Pearl, Purl. So
Ah,
Ah,
excellent.
nice.
Excellent. Excellent. What's a piece of advice that you have for knitters, especially new knitters? Like, what's your best advice? Probably knit a swatch.
I mean, I know that's not very sexy. I know people hate that, but it can be. It really can be, because, like I
Yeah.
said, if you want to knit from your stash, I mean, how often do you walk into a yarn shop and you have a pattern in mind, and then you see
Yeah.
yarn that really doesn't go with the pattern, but you really can make any yarn work with any pattern. You just have to get
Yeah.
Yeah.
gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
through that process, you might discover something really cool. I haven't watched it yet, but Martha Stewart's like documentary came out on Netflix, and
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
was screenshotting it like crazy because she's got this beautiful yellow sweater on, and it is knit at the loosest gauge, so it's really sheer. And
Yeah.
Oh,
I would never have, I'm kind of stuck in my ways about, like, you want kind of a tighter gauge so it holds its shape, but I was like, no, I'm going to make that next. Like, I'm going to design,
Yeah.
anyway, the only way to get there is to swatch it, to figure it out. So that would be one piece of advice, would be to swatch. But also, I would say knit what you want. If you find something that looks complicated, but that's really what you want to have, that's really what you want to make, like, go for it. You
Yeah.
don't have to make a
yeah.
Yeah.
scarf. You don't have to make a scarf.
No,
Yeah.
If
exactly.
you're not
I
a
always,
scarf wearer, don't do it. Like, dive in. There's
yeah.
so many YouTube videos.
Yeah.
If you're
When we encounter people in the store who are new to making things, and they ask if this project is, a beginner level, and I always ask them, how frustration tolerant are
Yeah.
you? How much frustration can you tolerate? If you can tolerate a lot of frustration and having to start over or stop and redo something and look up how to do something, then pretty much, you can, yeah, a beginner can do just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's our philosophy with
Yeah.
teaching our classes too. It's like, what if if you've got patience and sort of the
Exactly.
basics,
Yeah.
dive in.
Just dive in.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
such a great question. How frustration tolerant are you? I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's really what it comes down to, right? Some people can't handle things not going exactly the way they envision it or exactly the way the pattern says, and
Yeah. They're ready to
and
throw
they
the towel in
they
right
ready to
away.
throw that in the towel, and they really need certainty. And then other people are more able to look at a challenge and face it, and uh
Sorry, my kid is calling me.
speaking of interruption,
Right? I left and they were still asleep, so they're probably like, "Where are you?"
Yeah, I love that question about frustration tolerance. And one of the things,
Yeah.
not to make this a total advertisement for all my patterns, but one of the things I
No,
like
do
to
it.
do, I mean, is design, like, swatch patterns. I call them reluctant swatcher patterns. So this is my Liska sweater, and I
Yep.
Yeah.
designed a hat that has this motif in it. So if
Yes.
you
Yes.
want to knit that hat first, you can get a handle for color work knitting. You can try
Yes.
out
Yeah.
the pattern. So
Yes.
that way, instead of just knitting a square or whatever, you have a usable wearable swatch. And if
Yes,
this is
exactly.
like Elizabeth Zimmerman's idea from way back. She called them, I can't remember. Oh, experimental caps. She would say, if you
Okay.
don't want to knit a swatch, knit a hat. And then if it
Yeah.
doesn't work, then give it to someone and start over.
In the
Yes.
sewing world, in the garment sewing world, that's called a
Wearable
wearable muslin.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yes. Yeah, you
Yes.
make a practice garment out of a fabric that is less expensive, but has a similar quality to the fabric that you are intending to make the garment out of. And you're making it, one, to see if the size fits or if you need to make any adjustments, but you're hoping that it'll be wearable and usable. And then you're gonna go on and make it out of the fancier fabric.
And sometimes you get pajamas
And
instead
sometimes
of
you get pajamas instead.
Yes,
stress.
exactly.
Yeah. And regardless of how your first iteration turns out, you've still learned something, right?
Yes.
And it's the same way with, I really like knitting for that, because even if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to, I've learned something and I can pull it out and start over again. I am not reluctant to just pull out an entire project and start over.
I'm a reluctant frogger. I've only thrown the towel in on, I think, like 3 projects at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of them, actually, I started knitting my son a vest last year, realized it was the wrong size, put it aside because I was trying to troubleshoot, how to fix it. And I've come back to it this year, and he's grown a whole bunch. So it's like, well, I'm gonna have to start all over anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Well, I think that's all the time that we have. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back, especially if we do when we do another knit along with one of your patterns. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, thank you very
Anytime.
much for
Thank
your
you for
time this
having
morning.
me. Awesome.
It was
Thank
our
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, bye,
Okay.
you guys.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.